Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another fly tying session. My name is Daniel, and I have a web shop that's called Nordic Anglers. All the materials used in this video you can see online at our web shop, Nordic Anglers, and also you can find at our web shop a complete material kit for tying exactly this fly. So this is going to be a shrimp pattern. It's one of my absolute all-time favorite shrimp patterns. It's called the Rainbow Pig. Because of the dubbing and because it's fairly similar to the most famous Danish, at least in style, so the most famous Danish shrimp pattern, the pattegris, but this is just in some other colors. Regretfully, in the original pattern, the main component are the whiting spay hackle, but since whiting has I don't know if they have completely discontinued, but they have at least cut very, very drastically back on the production of spay hackles, spay capes. Then I've been looking for an alternative and another way of tying this pattern, and without changing this pattern too much, without having the same effect as the spay hackles. So what I've done is I have used some craft fur in the tying of this fly that gives a very, very close imitation of the spay hackles, and this fly fishes as well as the original rainbow pig. It's really cool, fairly easy and simple fly. There is a bit of technique regarding the dubbing loop with the craft fur and stuff, but this here is one deadly salmon fly and one deadly fly for fish that feed on shrimps anywhere. So I think this would be great for bonefish. This would be great for redfish. This would be great for a number of different species around the world. So here goes. Now we're going to tie the rainbow pig in the craft fur version. Here goes. So here goes. Let's do the rainbow pig. I use this in many sizes, mainly in size 6, 8, and 4. Today I'm going to tie it on a 4 because, well, basically that's easier for you to see, but also it's the size that I'm missing in my box. And as I said, this is one of the go-to patterns that I use the most for sea trouts. And I'm really certain that this will be, a deadly fly for any species of fish that feed on shrimp. So just covering the hook shank here with some tying thread to have a sound base for the rest of the pattern here. Then I'm going to take a teal feather. The teal feathers here are nice because they have a lot of natural striations on them, so they will provide a nice contrast and look good for any shrimp pattern as the mouth parts of the pattern here. So basically just tying down the feather here. There we go. Cut away the rest of that. And this fly works really well with some orange eyes. So I'm going to use some orange shrimp eyes for the pattern here. Tying these on just on top of where I tied down the teal. Just pulling those off to the sides, securing them with the tying thread, making sure they will stay in place here. Cut away the leftover stuff from that. And as you can see here, the eyes just are in place. They're easy fastened and they just sit where you need them to be. Then we're going to take a bundle of craft fur, and for this we're going to use some grizzly craft fur. The original pattern of this is made from with grizzly spay hackles, but the grizzly spay hackles are, the availability of the spay hackles from whiting has just been so horrible these past years. So I fear that whiting has simply stopped producing them. So this is the next best thing. The next best thing in order to make this pattern, and this pattern is very crucial for me personally, because I have just so many good experiences with this, and it just catches so many sea trouts. And it doesn't matter if I'm fishing in the fjords or on the open coast or whatever. This just has an almost magical feel to it to draw sea trout to it. Oh, Sorry, before I tie down the grizzly craft fur, I use a lot the floating line, and for the floating line and for me to be able to fish this relatively fast, then I need a bit of weight on the fly here. So I'm just gonna take some non-lead wire. And this will also help me with the tapering of the fly. So just where the eyes have been tied down, I'm just gonna apply some windings of the non-lead wire here. If you're in a country where you can use lead, you can of course use lead, but just use a bit less to get the same effect. There we go. I'm just gonna cover some of the non-lead wire here, just very just cover it to hold it in place. Then I take my bundle of craft fur, and I want ideally this craft fur to be 2.5 times the length of the teal to the tip of this. Tie this down just on top again. There we go. That looks perfect. And then I'm gonna tie this down all the way out here. Again, to make sure that my body here has the right tapering, so that it gradually tapers down towards the eye. This will give the right composition of the fly. So you can see it from above there. You have the teal and the grizzly craft fur. The grizzly craft fur is going to be kind of like the thorn of the shrimp here. And then all there's left to do is actually to make 2 dubbing loops. So the first one I'm gonna make is just like this, all the way down to where where everything is attached. The same with the second one. You can make the second one a bit larger than the first one, because the second one is going to be for the dubbing. That's the one we're going to use first. There we go. And then basically I'm just going to move the tying thread all the way up to the eye. So I'm going to take the first of the dubbing loops, and I'm going to fill it with probably the most popular dubbing for sea trouts at all. This is the Salmon Supreme in the color rainbow, and this is just a dubbing that is just a crucial part of so many really famous patterns here in Denmark. And again, I think this is one of the all-time best dubbings for trout in general. It's the color rainbow in Salmon Supreme, and it just has a lot of fluorescent, and for some reason it's not a dubbing that I would per se have started using myself a lot, because I think the color here is a bit murky and a bit strange, but for some reason this just has almost magical properties. So if you only take one thing with you from this fly tying video, it should be that you should try out this Salmon Supreme in the color rainbow for the trouts in your area, because you're in for a surprise. This is just outstanding color. It's probably also one of the dubbings that I sell absolutely the most of in the shop. So there we go. Pulling out a bit of this if there is a bit too much dubbing. And then we're basically just gonna turn the dubbing here. Create a nice body. There we go. And that's all the easy part of this fly. I'm pretty sure that you could probably catch fish with it as it is now, but it will be better if we have the second dubbing loop with the imitation of the spay hackle. There we go. Everything is nice and secure. So now we are off to using the second dubbing loop, and this takes a bit of practice and a bit of preparation. I'm gonna take a bigger portion of the craft fur here. Basically just pull some off the sheet here, fold it together like this, and we're gonna need a larger bundle than we did for the tail, and cut it all the way down to not to the skin, but to whatever this thing is that it's attached to. So you're sure you know what you've used, and it's easier for you to use the rest of this material in the future. So now I have my bundle here. I'm gonna clamp down on this, and then I'm gonna take my. You can use you can use a comb, or you can also just pull it out by hand. But the comb here just makes it a lot more easy. So any sort of small comb. My favorite one is, where did I put that one? Here. CF Design makes a really nice little comb that is really awesome from steel. Make sure you don't have anything that gets stuck there or are mangled. Just gonna trim with my hands as well. And now if you look at this, I'm just gonna show you. Here you actually have two different types of materials. You have some of the longer fibers that are basically basically a bit stiffer, and then you have some very softer hairs. But because of this, we will have to adjust the length of this, and the way we do this is basically I hold the tip here, and then I remove slightly more of the softer. Shorter fibers, because we want this to be, and the thing with this fly that is difficult is to getting this portion of the fly correct, to get the right amount of material inside the next dubbing loop here to make it look like a good hackle is the hard part of this fly. And as I said, it's probably it might take you a few tries, but once you have it, it really is an awesome pattern. So there we go. Then I'm gonna take the really long fibers here and remove them and move them further down, so they are not as long as they were before. There we go. Again, try to spread this out and fold it on top of itself. So now we have a more uniform length of the of what's going to be our hackle in a second, and then I measure this. I hold it up to the eye, and then I measure it so that the tip of the craft fur is going to be the same length as from the eye to the tail. This will give you the right length of the hackle. So about this length. Then I change my hands, and then I cut this off here. And it's important that you cut it off as even as possible, so that you get the ends of this is as even as possible. You see? Almost completely straight. So now I have what is going to be my hackle. Then I take my dubbing loop and I place this inside here. I place this inside here. Place this inside here. Then I try to get this as close to the edge as possible. There. And then with one finger I try to distribute this out so we get it more. And I have to do it. I have to take this down to look at it, but I try carefully with my fingers to adjust it so I have some that is all the way up to the start of the body. I have some in the middle, and then I have some that is long as well. So you see, I've distributed this for maybe 6 or 7 centimeters of the dubbing loop. But what's even more crucial for this fly to work is I want this to be as close to the dubbing loop as possible, so you do not have as little as possible must be sticking out on this side. Everything should be on that side, otherwise you will get a very bulky fur ball in the middle, and this will not make the fly fish right. It will not make the fly look right, so we want to avoid that at any cost. There we go, without having it falling out. There we go. And I'm gonna take my dubbing reel and spin this. This is the tricky part, the part I just told you about. And then we turn it. So now you see we have this hackle-like thing here, but down here there is a bit of fibers that are because ideally we want basically as little as possible of the materials here to make this bulky. There we go. That looks good. So I'm gonna take a turn of this all the way down to where the tail is. And then I'm gonna turn this very tightly all the way up here in the dubbing. All the way up to the eye. There we go. Gonna tie down the dubbing loop with just a few turns of the tying thread. Cut away the dubbing loop. Just fold that a bit back for now. I'm gonna do a whip finish. And for this fly to be perfect, then we need a small orange head. So I'm just gonna cut away my GSP thread. There we go. Fold the fibers here a bit back. We're not finished with that. And then I'm gonna add some fluorescent orange thread to make the small head. Oh, that's a squeaky bobbin if ever I heard one. There we go, we finish. Oh, did that just break? Oh, that's okay. Gonna give it a bit of varnish. You can use Sabagab as well. This is the Beneki varnish. This is nice for this type of fly. Just a bit of varnish to make sure it stays there. And then we're gonna brush all the dubbing out using our dubbing brush. So I'm gonna take my dubbing needle, gonna pull on some of the dubbing fibers here, all the way around. Also making sure that I don't have any tangled of the grizzly fibers, the craft fur fibers. And basically because I want this to be a fairly translucent fly, not too bulky, not too dense, then this is the way to go. And that is how it will look out in the water. So, there we go. The rainbow pig. Really an awesome shrimp pattern that will just catch loads and loads of fish. So, there you go. That's the finished fly. So for now, thank you for watching. And as always, you can find the full material kit to this fly and many other flies at my shop. It's called Nordic Anglers. It would mean a lot to me if you would swing by just to see our selection, maybe grab a few things. That's how I make my living. And also, if you haven't done so, then please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to me. So thank you for watching, and good luck out on the water.